are still at the Coal Bath House in Albany, and we're doing a second segment today, and this one is on a fellow by the name of Jigger Johnson. Unfortunately, Jigger is the one that got away. We have searched all over the Conway area, and we have inquired with number of local historians. In fact, this very morning, we checked 2 more cemeteries in Conway, and we have never been able to find Jigger Johnson's grave. So we're hoping that it's somebody that sees this segment may have some information on it, as we would love to know more. I'm going to let Rick tell you the story of Jigger, and it is quite a piece.
First thing, we're going to move over to another sign. There are quite a few of these around the area here, but this was also an area not just for farming, but for logging. And the man that we're going to talk about in a minute or two here is somebody that I grew up, having grown up in Conway. I grew up hearing about this man. And he's almost like a Paul Bunyan type of character. I mean, bigger than life, and a logger. And I'm going to tell you about him in just a minute. But he is the one we haven't been able to find. We've had a couple of people who've said that they knew where he was. He is apparently in a pauper's grave. We originally thought in North Conway, but we have not been able to find a pauper section up there. And a few people have given us some pointers. There was a historian who used to work at the Conway Library, David Emerson, who apparently did know where his grave was. So apparently it exists, but we haven't been able to find it. And it's the only one that we haven't, but we felt that Jigger was big enough in life, if not bigger, that we should include him.
Absolutely.
We're standing again with a board here that tells us about the corporate logging in some of the larger mills in New England. But we're here to talk about Jigger. Let me give you a couple, I'm going to pull a few things from the article from our book, if that's okay with you, Bill.
That works for me.
Okay. First of all, when he was born, he was supposedly born wearing logging boots, holding an axe, chewing tobacco, and smoking a pipe. Not sure if all the same time, I guess so. Jigger himself admitted that his reputation was maybe a bit exaggerated, but he himself claimed he could run faster, jump higher, squat lower, move sideways quicker, and spit further than any son of a bitch in camp. Quite a guy.
I know, that's my type of guy.
This Bill's a lot like that.
Yeah. I thought you knew him,
Well, I kind of grew up with him, and we knew his stories, at least sort of. Bob Monahan, who was one of the founders of the Mount Washington Observatory, apparently was a fairly good friend of Jigger's, and he actually, you can find information from him that is probably closer to the truth. Apparently, he was a fairly short guy, about 5'6", I guess, weighed 160 pounds. But according to Monahan, that's what all muscle. Again, kind of like Bill.
Yeah.
But one of the famous stories is that, by the age of 12, actually, he was a cook's helper in a logging camp. And at that time, apparently, when you came in to eat, you were supposed to be silent. And I guess a few drunk loggers came in. And at that point, Jigger was known as Cookie because he was working in the kitchen. And I guess gave him some trouble. But Johnson fought back. He jumped on the drunks, biting off the ear of one of them. And that's one of the famous stories. I don't think you've ever done that.
No.
Uh,
Sounds like a more recent boxer.
but by the age of 20, by 20 years old, he was the head chopper of a camp in Androscoggin on the Androscoggin River. And actually, after the fight, the other Tawagas that were in there, actually got him a new shirt and a pound of chewing tobacco for standing up to the rules, I guess. But he definitely had an incredible reputation. One of them was that he'd survive in the winter by eating bark. You've done that,
Yeah.
and
old Boy Scout trick. Real old Boy Scout trick.
And catch bobcats with his bare hands. Could fell a tree. And this is a skill. But apparently he was incredible at how good he was at falling a tree. He could actually say, okay, that tree is going to go right there. And he could do it. But at some point, getting the wood out of the forest wasn't paying as well as what it used to. So he went on to other jobs. He was a trail builder, fire watcher on Mount Carter Dome. On rainy days, however, he used to stay in and apparently just drink as much alcohol as he could. He did have a fondness for the drink. That you don't have.
No, I think it's more like you. Yeah. I was going to say that, but
He was fired from one of his jobs because he made a still, and that got on fire. And later on, he went to work for the Civilian Conservation Corps. That was during the Depression, and he was pretty successful at that. And he was hired to train other CCC workers, who weren't used to living in the woods. Apparently, he was really good at it, but he quit. And the reason he quit, now this reminds me of you again, a little bit, because in order to work for the CCC, you had to shave, and you had to take a bath now and then, and you had to study.
Oh,
and wow. He really didn't want to do those things. So he spent his later years as a trapper, living in a cabin in Passaconaway, what is now Passaconaway. And basically, but he did respect the law. And he had been in town, in Conway, I assume, celebrating a lynx pelt that he had sold. And he decided that he needed to go back to his traps because you had 24 hours to inspect your traps. That was part of the deal. And so he was in a car on an icy road going back down, and I guess out there in Passaconaway. And as he was trying to get out of the car, as I said here, the indestructible living legend basically was, he slid off the honey road, pinning him between a tree and the car, apparently. And as he was leaving, he was leaving, and he did die soon after that, and was taken to the Memorial Hospital. But that was the end of his life, as indestructible and as incredible as he was, apparently. So anyway, we thought he was worth at least mentioning in our book.
Oh, absolutely.
And right around the corner from here is the Jigger Johnson campground. So obviously, he was well enough thought of that they named a campground after him. And maybe one of these days we'll find him.
Yes, and again, if somebody has information about this, we'd love to hear it.
Yes, we would.
So, feel free to contact us.
Yeah. But anyway, Jigger, wherever you are, rest in peace.
Sure he is. He's prowling the mountains.
And I hope you have a still somewhere. As we're coming out of the Colbeth historical site, as you can see on this sign, you also see the that you can walk to the Jigger Johnson campground from here. And basically it is right around the corner. So yeah, he's a famous name right here. I've also heard or read somewhere, and I don't know if I can go find it right off the bat, but I believe Jigger worked on the farm here at some point. But I don't know if I can prove that.